आस्था और श्रद्धा से जुड़ा हुआ विषय तो है हमारा, लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा अभी ज़रूरी है हमारे लिए कि लोगों की जान माल की सुरक्षा।
This is defeated our purpose to check corona at any stage.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. COVID cases may have dipped as compared to the peak of the second wave, which wreaked havoc across the nation, but we are not out of the woods yet. The virus, which continues to mutate, is a clear and present danger, with the vaccine and standard COVID protocols of wearing a mask and social distancing remaining our prime defense. For days now, tourists have been thronging the hill stations in the north to beat the heat wave. But it seems public consciousness when it comes to dealing with the COVID threat has certainly not sunk in. Manali, Nainital, Shimla and other tourist destinations are seeing massive crowds with a brazen disregard of COVID rules, overwhelming the enforcement machinery and forcing the local authorities to curb the entry and stay of tourists, even though they are critical to post-lockdown recovery. However, beyond tourists, it seems the Astha factor threatens to undo all that we have achieved in battling this disease. The Rath Yatra honouring Lord Jagannath has attracted hundreds of devotees in multiple cities, throwing caution to the wind, literally inviting a surge in cases. The local authorities insist that all protocols are being followed and all devotees have negative RT-PCR certificates, but we all know how the Kumbh Mela played out, where beyond the flouting of COVID protocols, it emerged that over 1 lakh fake test results were given ahead of the event. Moreover, COVID cases in Uttarakhand saw an exponential rise over the 2 weeks of Kumbh festival in April, with the active cases surging by over 10,000. Now, just in the month of July, more religious events are set to kick off. The Sabrimala temple in Kerala is all set to open its doors to devotees for monthly puja from July 17th to July 21st. The temple authorities have assured adherence to standard COVID protocols and restricted devotees to only those carrying a complete COVID vaccination certificate or negative RT-PCR report issued within 48 hours. But considering the crowd of devotees, enforcement is easier said than done. The Uttar Pradesh government has given the green light to the Kawar Yatra from July 25th. Where devotees line the roads of the big cities, making COVID enforcement even more challenging. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami has said that while the yatra is a matter of faith, under no circumstances can the safety of people be put at risk. While the IMA, that is the Indian Medical Association, has written to the Chief Minister saying the mistakes of Kumbh Mela cannot be repeated. When faith enters the equation, something as serious as COVID becomes a conundrum, even as we have seen time and again how during an unlocked drive, COVID regulations go for a toss. Are we simply inviting the next wave by giving the green light to these religious events, knowing the limitations of enforcement and the impact of these super spreaders? Joining me on the show, Shantanu Gupta is a political analyst, Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer, Professor Dilip Bavlankar is IIPHG director, Acharya Shailesh Tiwari is a spiritual leader, and we are also being joined by Rahul Ishwar. I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Bavlankar. The last Kawar Yatra was held in 2019 and roughly 30 million pilgrims congregated in Haridwar. In fact, experts warn that this yatra will be even more dangerous than the Kumbh Mela, since 30 to 40 million pilgrims may visit Haridwar in a fortnight compared to the 7 million who came during the 30-day Kumbh. Can we really continue with this yatra?
I think it's a very difficult question, but as a public health expert, I think this is invitation for more corona cases and probably a third wave beginning in these states where these congregations might be happening. So I think it's a serious thing. We have to really see what can be done, because in such places, mask, sanitization, and social distancing doesn't seem to be a norm. Breaking of that seems to be a norm. So I don't think it is advisable at all to have this type of religious gatherings.
So it is not advisable to hold these religious gatherings, Shantanu, and that is the reason why perhaps one would say that it is keeping in mind the political nature of these yatras that the governments are going ahead with it. Uttar Pradesh government has given a green light. In fact, the chief minister has held a meeting saying that there have to be necessary precautions that have to be taken. On the other hand, he is also talking to his counterpart in Uttarakhand for them to give a green light as well. My question is, can pilgrimages ensure immunity?
See, I think we have to look at it. Is opening up the lockdown is required or not? It should be done or not. If we just see any gathering with a religious angle, I think we will make skewed conclusions. Right now, send your cameraman to Chandni Chowk. Send him to Sarojini Nagar, send him to Karol Bagh, send him to Lajpat Nagar. The pictures will scare you. Oh, okay, send him to the best of the very posh malls or the 5-star hotels. People are not even carrying mask in their pockets, right? And okay, but for religious angle, for religious congregations, we always get an alarm. See, in fact, in such congregation, we can follow a protocol. In Chandni Chowk, you can't follow any protocol. There's no entry, no exit. In Sarojini Nagar Market, Karol Bagh Market,
we are showing those visuals. And over the last few days, we have been reporting about, crowd, the tourists going to various hill stations, and how they are very, very disturbing visuals. These are potential invitation being given to the third wave.
So that's why I'm saying, take any congregation just as a congregation, because if that's an economic activity, this is also economic activity. Do you know, Tirupati itself is an annual 3,000 crore rupees economy. Kawar Yatra in different years is 200 to 500 crore rupees economy. India has 200 towns which just run on religious economy. So we have to say, like any lockdown, should the lockdown be opened or not? We can't just say, okay, this is religious, I'll not allow it. This is Chandni Chowk, I'll allow it. This is Manali, I'll allow it. But Kawar Yatra, not allowed. Something. Let's look at it with a comprehensive lens.
You are saying
religious and non-religious.
Okay, so we have to not look at it from the religious prism, Yashwardhan Azad. This is about enforcing the rules, and if markets can be shut if the protocols are not being followed. Similarly, it can be done in these yatras. But here the larger challenge is that these are mobile people, that they are moving. This is a yatra, it's not a gathering, it's not a congregation per se.
No, the question is, you can have faith, but faith is blind. Saving lives is more important. I understand the importance of religious tourism, religious economy. It is a great thing. Maria, you know how popular Kawar Yatra is in Bihar. And from my village itself to Badnath Dham, the Bole Kumbh Yatra takes place with great fervor and enthusiasm. But this time we have told our village mukhyas and everyone that not a single guy should go. The question of lives is much, much more important, and we can't just listen to Pandits and Maulvis on this issue of religiosity. The second point is enforcement is a complete nightmare. There cannot be any enforcement. And there is no enforcement because Indians refuse to do any kind of protocol binding behavior, whether it is for tourism, whether it's for religiosity, whether it is for anything, anywhere. And the problem is absolutely political, and you really pointed out, you clinched the issue by saying if the government does it, if it does not do it, the opposition will somehow egg the people that listen, this is a right of the people which is being denied. If it does it...
Yes, Mr. Azad, the fact that I asked the BJP and also the opposition leaders to come on the show and both of them refused is an indication how it is a political issue, keeping in mind the upcoming elections in both these states, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Rahul Ishwar, faith should reinforce life, and risking rituals that could spread COVID does the exact opposite. And we have seen governments across the world, including ours, brought their economies to a standstill to protect lives. They chose lives over economy. Shouldn't the same be done right now?
Marriage is two things. One, these all yatras are spiritual in nature. And please remember, faith is not blind, faith is illuminating. But the core question is, can there be double standards towards all these religious or spiritual yatras? When the other spaces are opening up, when we are learning to live with the pandemic, when we are following protocols and moving to other spaces, why only single out religious gatherings? Why only single out spiritual congregation? When you have so many spaces, including tourist spaces, including malls, including hotels, including hospitals, including other spaces being crowded, can we single out religious and spiritual gatherings alone and say that you don't have a right to do it? Rather, all the spiritual people have been very cautious across India. Most of them have taken, maybe some exceptions are there, most of them have taken great self-responsibility. And these congregations can be guided in a deep spiritual manner with cultural and religious heads. So allow us devotees to be responsible, allow us to take responsibility and go ahead. And why single out all the devotees? Why single out and have double standards towards religious gatherings? When other things are being opened up, can you simply shut down religious spiritual gatherings alone? This is a question that we should definitely ponder about.
Respond to that. That this is singling out of religious spiritual gatherings while India is opening up.
No, this is not a religious gathering, Mr. Ishwaran. If you're familiar with the Kawar Yatra in the north, you see there are millions of people who are going to the Ganges, and they're crossing through major towns, going and then coming back to various places. This is what is happening in Bihar. So this movement is dangerous. This is like those people who were daily wagers, who were working in the metros, and they were going back to the villages after the lockdown. So that is why this is going to be a super spreader. A religious gathering in a temple, that you can follow some COVID protocols. But in this kind of movement is very, very different.
Okay, Rahul, a quick response and then I'll bring in other panelists.
But is not the responsibility of government guiding us devotees in a better way, giving us stronger guidelines and enforcing those guidelines? And unless we learn to live with this pandemic, how long can people not take solace in spirituality or cultural gatherings or cultural movements? We have to be realistic, and there should be a balance between all. India is a nation which always celebrates and respects doctors, science and technology. So why don't you guide devotees in a better way so that they can
attend this? So what is guiding of these devotees? Acharya Shailesh Tiwari, how can such yatras or what are being seen as potential super spreaders, events of this nature where people are mobile, they are moving around, this is even more dangerous per se as far as the numbers are concerned. 30 to 40 million people are moving around, and that is the reason why this is being seen as an event that can trigger a potential third wave.
मारिया जी, आपको ध्यान देना होगा कि सिर्फ हम डबल स्टैंडर्ड की भाषा की बात करते हैं। हमें देखना चाहिए कि जिस प्रकार हम अपने सनातन धर्मावलंबियों को बार बार टारगेट करते हैं कि कुंभ ने फैला दिया, आप कांवर यात्रा नहीं करेंगे, आप रथ यात्रा नहीं निकालेंगे। आप देखिए कैसे भारत में जो टूरिस्ट प्लेस है, चाहे मसूरी हो, नैनीताल हो, शिमला हो, इन सब जगहों पर देखिए लाखों श्रद्धालु, लाखों जो टूरिस्ट लोग हैं वो बिना मास्क के घूम रहे हैं। उनके लिए कोई गाइडलाइंस नहीं है, जबकि हमारे मंदिर में कहीं रथ यात्रा निकलता है, कहीं कावड़ यात्रा की बात होती है, तो मीडिया के साथ साथ वामपंथी लोग इस पर
नहीं, आचार्य जी,
डबल स्टैंडर्ड नहीं होना चाहिए।
मीडिया ने नहीं, कोई डबल स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है आचार्य जी। मीडिया ने इसको भी दिखाया है, मनाली को भी दिखाया है, मसूरी को भी दिखाया है, जहां पर भीड़ इकट्ठा हो रही है, हम लोगों ने सबको दिखाया है।
जो व्यक्ति बीमार होगा वह व्यक्ति कावड़ की यात्रा नहीं करेगा, और इसमें प्रशासन को चाहिए कि पूरी तरह से सख्ती करके उन सब लोगों को जो है RT-PCR टेस्ट करा करके इसके बाद उनको कावड़ की यात्रा
नहीं, लंबी यात्रा होती है ये। RT-PCR टेस्ट 48 घंटा पहले शुरू होगा। इतनी लंबी यात्रा में जी 120 किलोमीटर की यात्रा है,
120 किलोमीटर की यात्रा होती है, मुझे पता है। सिर्फ आप बिहार के सिर्फ वहाँ सुल्तानगंज से बाबा बैद्यनाथ धाम की बात नहीं करें, बल्कि हरिद्वार से लोग दिल्ली लेकर के लोग जल आते हैं। तो जो भी लोग या जो कांवड़ यात्री जाते हैं उनका सबका RT-PCR होना चाहिए। प्रशासन उनको सख्ती से एक गाइडलाइंस के तहत सबको मास्क के साथ लाए, इसके साथ साथ एक डिस्टेंस मेंटेन हो, तो यहाँ हो सकती है। हमारी परंपराएं, हमारे हिंदुत्व की आस्था पर क्यों बार-बार चोट पहुंचाई जा रही है? क्यों
I don't think so. It has to. Okay, fine. Okay, Professor Mavlankar, come in on this. India's vaccination drive has picked up, yes, but it is currently at 4 million doses a day. and is nowhere near the 9 million doses a day which is required to achieve herd immunity by the year end. And we also know that we have seen, I mean, it has been put to test. What happened during the second wave? The entire healthcare infrastructure is so fragile that it came collapsing. The vaccination drive is yet to pick up, although on the first day, that is 21st, we did see a record number. But if we do not vaccinate people, then can we really open up the way we have? You know, be it revenge travel that is evident now, people are at various places, and then the threat of various yatras, the pilgrimages.
Yeah, I think from the medical and public health point of view, all this is not advisable. But as you know, the people's psychology, people's religious beliefs, people's social beliefs are so strong that in the families where they have not seen a death or their nearbys have not seen a death, they feel that this is not real. We can take risk. For example, many people go without motorcycle without helmet. People go without seat belt. Our society is a risk-taking society. So I think we have to, in some sense, have some compromise. And as has been said, we are taking a calculated or uncalculated risk, if I may say so, that by doing this, again, one wave may come. And the other option, one could think, as we are discussing, is besides the RT-PCR test, why not do the serological test for antibodies? Because many places, serosurveillance has showed that 50-60% people have antibodies. So if people already have antibodies, then they should go. Then risk is much less whether they have taken vaccine or not. So that is another thing. Of course, it costs 700, 800 rupees to do an antibody test.
Yes.
My advice
Professor
would be those who
Mavlankar,
want to join.
Also, the question is that because the cases have started rising again and it's happening all over India, and of course, there are two states which continue to have the maximum number of cases, that is Maharashtra and Kerala. The question is, are we really looking at a third wave, or is the second wave over?
It depends. Second wave is not over. We are still at 40-50,000 cases as reported. And these, you must realize that when one case is reported, there are maybe 10 times more cases which are unreported because they are not symptomatic people, and that's why testing is not happening. Many of these tests are the rapid antigen test with sensitivity is only 50%. So when you pick up one rapid antigen positive, there would be two rapid antigen, total positives. So these are all estimated numbers. They are not real numbers. Real numbers are much higher. Of course, hospitals are empty. So serious disease has come down. Ventilators are also now available. So second wave is going down, but there is no guarantee that third wave will not come. So we have to be extremely careful.
Okay. Shantanu, only just last week, we heard the Prime Minister. He has warned the entire Council of Ministers, saying that these visuals that were coming from various hill stations are very disturbing, and COVID appropriate behavior is the need of the hour, because India cannot be an exception when world over third wave came, and it did cause similar damage, if not more, as is the case of the second wave. Now what we are seeing is that government after government, as they open, this is about catering to a constituency. Will you not be saying that? Because look at what is happening here. The Uttarakhand government is keen on holding the Char Dham Yatra. The High Court there has put a stay till July 28th, but the state government has moved the Supreme Court.
See, Maria, I'll again request all of you to look at it as an economic angle. I want the traders of Chandni Chowk to earn money. That's fine. I want the airlines, hotels, malls to earn money. I want all the touristic places in Shimla and Mussoorie to earn money. But lot of the people just they depend on the yearly earning they get to the yatras. Why don't want them to earn? We follow all the protocols, and doctors on the panel is telling some fabulous ideas. Use all those fabulous ideas. But stopping, like now, as Rahul said, we have to agree to live with COVID. You can't say, okay, religious, that's something, religious congregations get this extra focus. That's something, send your cameraman to Chandni Chowk, you'll be scared. Are we doing show after show on Chandni Chowk? No.
We have
Are
done
we doing
that,
show after show on
Shantanu.
Karol Bagh?
Shantanu,
One
the
here and
question
there, one
is,
here and there.
we were talking about all kinds of religious gatherings, because let's not forget that even in the month of July, there is Bakrid that is going to happen towards the later part. There is the challenge of also Sabrimala opening up. So the challenge is not about one religious community per se.
It's not
about
a religious
all.
community. I'm saying any congregation, be it in a mall, or be it in Chandni Chowk, or be it in Karol Bagh, or be it in Mussoorie, or be it in Kawar Yatra. As I told you, Kawar Yatra is a 300 to 400 crore rupee economy. But a lot of Muslim people earn through that. Those Kawars are made by a lot of people in Saharanpur. And that's their economy for the whole year. They wait for the whole year for this yatra to happen. So I'm saying we can't just see from the narrow angle. We use all the protocols. So see, all the RT-PCR reports that are produced in airlines, are we checking them? Are they all genuine? All the COVID certificates produced in the airlines, are they all genuine? So I'm saying, okay, because the people who are wearing suit, coat, tie, they are all fine. But the people who are doing Kawar Yatra, they are all Kawar. They don't know about their own health. I think this mindset has a problem. I'm saying we should follow all the protocols for sure. But again,
30 seconds to you, Rahul, and then I'll give the final words to Yashwardhan Azad.
Mariaji, as a devotee, I respect your concern, I respect your good intention. But please remember, Sabrimala, even when Kerala government allowed it to open, Sabrimala's temple said, we don't want to open because the prime importance is of the health of devotees. Even when government told us to, they said, our devotees and our board said, let us not open it. So all the temples, churches and mosques are responsible. But please remember, we have to have a sense of balance. We have to learn to live with it. And temples, churches, mosques, religious, spiritual gatherings cannot be shut forever. See, we have in a new normal, and new guidelines for the new normal are needed. And we cannot live with the old paradigms and parameters anymore. We need to evolve new strategies to live with it, and please include us.
Rahul, even the virus is mutating in different forms. Now there is a lambda as well. There was a delta plus. And when these viruses come in different ways, we really do not know how they will react. We have seen, the entire country suffered during the second wave. There is an experience in that.
Very true, very true. I agree with that. But please let us evolve to a new consensus, and a new normal is the submission.
So what will be this consensus? Yashwardhan Azad, it's about economy, as is being pointed out by both Shantanu and Rahul Ishwar.
There is a huge danger to the lives, and that is why lives are much more important. Even in this Euro Cup, it has been proved that it has come out as a super spreader. Today is not the time to do it. Not many people have been vaccinated as yet. I can understand if 70 to 80 crores of people have been already vaccinated, then things about religious tourism or religious yatras can be allowed. But something like a Char Dham Yatra, for which Uttarakhand government is moving the Supreme Court, or allowing the Kawar Yatra is extremely dangerous. And that is why you have seen that even for religious tourism, people have been returned back from here. We don't have an adequate infrastructure. Our health infrastructure is weak. The second wave has not gone as yet, and we are awaiting the third wave. And therefore, it will be a harakiri if we allow and we open up things for religious yatra.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for joining us. Shantanu Gupta, Yashwardhan Azad, Dilip Mavlankar, Shailesh Tiwari and Rahul Ishwar. Of course, this is a larger debate about faith versus safety, faith versus health. We have seen the governments take that call in which economy was shut for ensuring that the lives are there. The balancing act happened only later about lives versus livelihood. It became about Jaan bhi, Jahan bhi. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.